I'll start out by asking you because during last night's presentation I didn't know Dick Wilkes or Ken
Peterson.
They're both from before my time. What are your memories of them, or can you tell me who they were?
Yeah, well, everybody, I mean, I'm member one. I started the group. And I just started it when I got a Mac in June of '84 and said, well, this is really cool. I don't know anything about it. So using the first page layout program, MacPaint, I went and just typed up a flyer and took it back to Computerland and said, hey, give this out to people who buy these, and said, let's all get together and find out about this, how it works, and learn. So 6 people came over to my apartment in Tigard for that first meeting, and then there were 9 people at the next one, and then after that we exceeded the apartment, went over to somebody else's house who was bigger. Well, the thing simply grew exponentially. Every single meeting it doubled, and it kept on doubling for months. We finally had to move out into there was a Multnomah Art Center, had a classroom-sized place that we met for a while. We'd bring our Macs and just set them up along the edges. After that, we outgrew that place. We went to the PGE auditorium. Or then we had set up a little store and started selling stuff for Mac that we had to get, which was sort of like a PMUG store. We ran that for a long time while we had the office. And when we closed the office 5-6 years ago now, that pretty much went away, but for a long time we had that. So we had to keep moving around and finding site after site until we could get one. And grew big enough at our biggest point in the late 90s, we were 1,400 people. And I think we'd been shrinking a lot thanks to the internet, because a lot of new people don't need user groups anymore. They don't understand getting together in real time and real space. So the group's been evolving over the years, but we were always one of the biggest and most active groups. And I was there for the first Mac camp. We thought, because I'd been going to the picnics, and I thought, well, why don't we do this? Go to really have a thing like this. And we planned it and discussed it, searched for a place, and went to that crazy Boy Scout camp near here. That with the big fire pit in the middle, it was enough to sort of heat the place. If you faced it, your back was freezing. You'd turn around and reverse it. So it was like mercury. It was deep space temperature on one side and the surface of the sun on the other. Then we go back to the tables where we were holding the classes and set up and freezing while trying to type. And Peter, who was Ken's partner at the time, was the professional cook, and he catered the whole thing. He did a lot of these original Mac camps until we came here, and they had the catering. But he would almost always he'd make a special cake for us, and then they kind of dropped out and went and did their own thing. But he came back for 40 and made that cake that you saw in the other film. It was really nice. And I haven't heard from them for years, so I'm not quite sure where they all are. Doug Foreman went into, he wrote a software package for the finances of churches and making that for a living, and then he developed a Windows side version of it. So he's sort of mixed. We haven't seen him in a while either. I'm practically the only original one left. Others have moved out to the coast, and they're living out there. They come back occasionally for events. Marge, who was one of the original people, she didn't come to this one, but she's come very recently. And so we try to keep everybody together as much as possible.
When did Charles and Janet come along?
They got here, I was thinking 86, but it might have been later than that. I know they were definitely here in the late 80s and got involved almost immediately. Just totally understood what it was all about and jumped in with both feet.
And it's just sort of the nature of the internet that the sense of community is maybe not the same as it was back in the 90s, or?
It's eliminated, well, especially for the people under 30, under 40. Because for so long they've been used to communicating worldwide with email, with web pages, reading, and then blogs and all the rest of that. So you had almost everything except physically getting together for the social interaction and the friendship that you make from groups like this. And the club itself has evolved. Now almost 90% of our people are over 50. And a few of them bring their kids. There were a few here that you will talk to. But that's about it. We do not get any of the people in their 20s at all anymore. They either have their own social groups and don't come to us. And when I do, I have clients. I'm a Mac tech and I fix for people. I always tell them about PMUG, show them the website, try to get them to come. And they think, wow, what a great idea. They don't come. It's just a different culture.
Thank you.
Your turn.